distance will be overcomable as long as I have some infinite 2D degrees of freedom. However, if I have some entity
Never
with
justified.
XYZ,
You
huh?
never justified that the other world was on any specific axis.
Well, okay, so just to be clear, it doesn't this it being separate, like it being inaccessible, is the justification as to why we would say it's on a different axis. Because 2D things are just things like I guess I can explain like the fundamental thesis of Cartesian. It's just some two-dimensional thing. It's just something with x, y, so 2 degrees of infinite freedom. If we have some three-dimensional thing, it's just something with x, y, z, so on and so forth, degrees of freedom. The
Yeah,
reason they can't interact is because they don't have the same degrees of freedom. However, if we have two entities with both x and y degrees of freedom, it seems as though there would be no problem with those entities' interaction. So when we see a lack of interaction, it just seems to be the most simplest answer that it's just Cartesian systems having some transcendence.
yeah. I'm saying that you didn't justify how the other world itself would be on any
Because
spatial
it's interactive.
component to begin
Wait,
with.
it's just you can't interact with it from the human world.
Yeah, why do you think that's the case?
Why do I think that's the case? I'm asking you, why do I think that's the case?
Yeah, because like I can agree with the assumption that the living world would be on sorry, I have a mouthful. I can agree with the assumption that the living world would be on some sort of spatial temporal by all the stuff you said about relativity and whatever the general power scaling assumption. But then the other world never like gave it any qualities or any distinctive.
Well,
It's
it's
separate, and then I can like, for example, Universe Six is separate from Universe Seven, but that doesn't make Universe Six, transcendent over Universe Seven. So I'm
I
asking,
think
so why something being separate is necessarily
yeah.
transcendent?
Okay, in reference to that analogy, there seems to be a symmetry breaker because people from Universe 7 have no issue with interacting from people from Universe 6. So there's no lack of interaction. So, like, the separate isn't the reason as to why we posit as transcendence, it's the lack of capability to interact.
No, because Goku can interact with King Kai
Huh?
when
Sorry? What'd you say?
Okay, so when you say interaction, you mean like interaction in terms of like the 3D beams, 2D beams,
I guess interaction in the most, like, commonly accepted sense.
like just meeting each other in person and talking and blah blah blah.
We can just use, like, whatever Oxford's definition is.
Okay, so like I said before, I don't think I said this before, but like the separation between the other world and the living world is not something that necessarily justifies them being unable to interact if they were put in a position where they could. For example, we see Goku interacting with King Kai.
Well,
When
he's
he
alive?
we see Beerus and Whis interacting with King Kai and Goku when they go to King Kai's planet, which obviously exists in the other world. So it makes it clear that in this scenario, right, we have characters who supposedly exist in a realm that is, described as being separate or inaccessible, but then characters from the realm that you posit as being a lower complexity are interacting with these characters from the higher complexity, which again falls into my example that I gave that Universe 6 and Universe 7 are separate, and they don't, like, Universe 6 doesn't necessarily transcend Universe 7 because it's separate or inaccessible via normal means. Like, it's never shown that you can fly from universe to universe or that type of thing. Like, it's only done via things like Whis' staff. Whis' staff, which obviously has like it could just have external properties that allow it to hop between dimensions and blah blah blah, that type of thing. So like,
Two things.
sorry. So like I said, there's two things that are in common here. We see Goku. There's why I'm bringing this up is like, in context to your example that Universe 6 people can interact with Universe 7 people. I'm saying that's not like a defeater to what I was saying, because people from the afterlife can interact with people from the living world if they're put in such a position. So interaction is not an argument whatsoever.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna get like the 3 points. The first thing, let's just say Universe 6 and 7. Once again, it could just be that they have the same degrees of freedom, just at some different location. Because we see they don't fail to interact whenever the opportunity is provided. That's fine. So I wouldn't say they're transcended. Like obviously, Whis' staff, maybe it's just like the capability to teleport. I don't really care like how it does it, but obviously we
What do
see
you mean
once
by
like Goku and
what do you mean by
Champa,
degrees of freedom?
degrees
What
of
do you mean?
freedom, it's just an index to spatial axes.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what does that mean? Like degrees?
Yeah, spatial axes. Like that's what it means. Degree. So like when I say if I have a 1D thing, it only has the x-axis, so it only has 1 degree of freedom. If I have a 2D thing, it has the x and y-axis, so that's 2 degrees of freedom. If I have something with x, y, z like us, that's 3 degrees of freedom, so it's 3D. It's just spatial axes.
Yeah.
It's just easier to say degrees of freedom.
Okay. I get you. So
But yeah, so it can just be the case that like with the Universe 6 and 7, they can interact because they have the same degrees of freedom, just at some different point in space. Like obviously in the Universe 6 versus 7, they have no problem talking, touching, hitting. So we can just assume that they have like the same degrees of freedom. And then if we just use like King Kai's planet, right? I think I mean one
wait,
like
how does this solve the problem? Though? How does this answer my question?
well yeah I was gonna attack the second negation. I was just going in the order that you said them in.
Okay.
And then the second thing, like how he calls it, how they're able to like interact with King Kai, like how Goku's able to do it, Beerus is able to do it, right? It just seems to be that the only reason this negation will hold credence is if we presuppose that the initial proposition is false. So, like, for you to say Goku can interact with King Kai, but Goku should have less degrees of freedom as King Kai. However, the initial proposition is that he scales to the same place as King Kai. It seems as though the negation only holds credence if and only if the proposition is false. So like in order for me to actually attack the negation, we first have to prove that the proposition is false. It's like if
I have to prove that, right?
oh yeah, so like whenever you say
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. So basically, you're saying that I have to prove that the claim that it is higher dimensional or whatever is false because I'm using that as like something that goes to the accurate. But can you go over?
I'll put it in terms of an analogy because it's only index to your second negation. The first one it doesn't matter. But in regards to the second negation,
I really don't think it matters to be honest because it
I
was
mean
just
wait, I'll explain. Like I can like give an analogy and you can tell me if you think this analogy still doesn't follow. But, like let's say if we're talking about two characters and I just say like character B is 4D and you go, well, and I say like and because character A interacts with character B, they're both 4D. And if you go, well, we see character A is able to interact with character B, so that means character B is at 4D. That's only true based on the presupposition that the other character doesn't scale. So if yeah. So like whenever you say Goku interacts with wait, just to be clear, like your negation was Goku and Beerus are able to interact with King Kai, so it seems like King Kai doesn't have like more degrees of freedom or more spatial axes than them, correct?
I'm saying I'm saying that's not my argument. My argument is that separation does not equal to transcendence, which was your initial claim, right? So I gave an example of separation not equaling transcendence, and then I gave you an example of Goku and King Kai interacting, Beerus, King Kai, Whis interacting. So you trying to use separation as separation because they cannot interact as as evidence for it being a transcendence gets completely negated. So you actually have to justify it being a transcendence regardless of them being able to interact because that is something they can do regardless.
I don't think you heard the symmetry breaker that I gave, and so I'll just repeat it about the universe 6 versus 7. I'm saying their lack of like reach, like I'll just say attainability. So like how Whis has to transport them to that other universe and etc. Right? That can just be due to them having the same degrees of freedom on some separate like point of the line. So let's just say if universe 7.
Their act of being able to like interact like between the universe
Wait,
6 and 7. Is that what you're saying?
so wait, I'm just saying like this, like this separation. Like I guess I'll say the separation doesn't necessitate a lack of interaction, but when we see a conject of the two, we can now equate it to dimensional transcendence. So I think in the case of universe 6 and 7, what I have separation, that doesn't give them a lack of interaction. Therefore, it doesn't meet the qualifications of the conject.
No, I'm not saying. Okay, so I'm not arguing that the separation gives them a lack of interaction. When you say interaction, it's obviously in context of them being able to, like, you gave the analogy for 2D and 3D, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
That's what you mean by interaction. So I'm saying that interaction in this case is not a justification for separation being necessarily higher dimensional or whatever, right? And I gave an example for that.
Just to be clear, the symmetry breaker between the universe 6 versus 7 and the other world is that we see that there's no incapacity for universe 6 and 7. Because like if your whole like Goku, Whis, and Beerus interacted with King Kai would only follow if it's the case that they're supposed to be on some lower dimensional axes, correct?
What?
Your justification for King Kai not being transcended because Goku, Beerus, Whis are able to interact with him would only follow if it's the case that they're on a lower dimensional axis than King Kai, correct?
On a lower dimensional axis of King Kai,
Yeah.
I would say that, like, if they're interacting, then they would be like on the same like
No,
dimensional
no.
axis.
Well, yeah, wait. Just to be clear, I'll say this. Like, when you posited a negation, so like your reason as to why King Kai can't be 4D is because Goku, Beerus, and Whis. I mean, sorry, your reason why King Kai can't be 5D is because Goku, Beerus, and Whis are 4D and they interacted with him, correct?
No, I'm saying that your claim is that King Kai's, like, the afterlife is 5D because of like the lack of interaction, right? You
Yeah,
said
but
the separation, lack of interaction, and then I'm just simply saying that that lack of interaction does not necessarily prove that it is a higher dimensional realm.
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Two things. That doesn't. My argument's not for necessity, and then secondly,
Yeah,
whenever we're
yeah.
talking about
Okay, so it doesn't have to be for necessity. Okay, so let me just say that lack of interaction does not prove or does not give me any motivation to believe that it's a higher dimensional realm or anything,
mm,
because
okay,
you have instances of, people from different universes interacting, right?
yeah, I'll explain the distinction. Okay? Again, I'll try to put it in different words.
You wait. Let me give another example.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I
you can
understand your
simply say,
example, but I'm saying
yeah,
you
you
don't
just,
follow it.
but since, like, let's say, since you, like, kind of have a problem with the Universe 6 stuff, like, obviously you think like, Universe 6 can interact with Universe 7 directly, which obviously I don't believe, but let's just say for Trunks' timeline, right? Trunks is a completely inaccessible timeline. Like, you have to use, like, a time machine to get there, and blah blah blah. You can't go there naturally, but then when Chunks comes to their timeline, they can interact. So I'm saying the property of non-interaction, the separation, does not, like, posit that the realm itself is transcendent.
Okay,
So there has to be an actual justification for the realm
yeah, bro.
being transcendent, other than the claim that it is because it is separated
Yo,
and contains a
I'm
lack
gonna
of.
I'm gonna provide the distinction. Pretty please listen. So the distinction, we'll just use Trunks as an analogy. One, in the case of like Trunks going back and then him being able to interact with, I just think it can be the case that like beings can alter their own ontology because they understand the nature of their being, right? And then secondly,
What?
in the case of like his timeline being inaccessible because that's his time machine, it can just be that they're existing at the same point, just at a different time. So if we have a line, let's say like I'm at point X on the line, and if I just go to X 20 seconds ago, obviously that would be inaccessible to me until I can go through time. However, there's no degree of freedom to isolate the two. However, when we see the case of like King Kai or the other world in general, right? I just think it's something that's going to be inaccessible by any means other than some transcendence. Like, I guess when you get unalived in Dragon Ball, right? It just seems to be the case that obviously you go to this world, the alive people don't interact with the unalive people unless they scale to them. So I'll just say
Unless they
like
scale to, unless they scale to them.
yeah, I was gonna give an example. I guess if you want to take the movies, we just see Goku punching BoJack.
I disagree with Trunks being able to alter his own ontology. I think I would need justification for that too.
It just seems to be a normative thing.
What?
It just seems to be a normative thing. Yeah, I can explain. Obviously, ontology is just the nature of one's being. To alter one being requires a prerequisite of comprehension of one's being. Obviously, comprehension of one's being is going to be innate to consciousness. So it just seems that we can conclude if this has consciousness, then it understands its own ontology.
Okay.
If that's the case, then I think like understanding is gives some credence to alteration. Like obviously, it wouldn't be beneficial to him to travel to the past where he needs help and then make himself interactable. It just seems to be the case that obviously, if he wants help, he wants to talk to them, he wants to be around them, he would ensure that he's interactable. No,
That presupposes that he wasn't interactable to begin with. If he was
yeah,
put
that's
in-
not. Wait, it's not. I'm just. He's only accessible via time. I'm not saying so. Just to be clear, I guess I'll repeat the line thing. Let's say like I'm at point X on a line, okay, and then someone else was at point X on a line 20 seconds ago. I'm not going to be able to reach that person.
that's
However,
that's not how Dragon Ball timelines work.
wait, what? Yo, just to be clear, Future Trunks timeline, it's just like some parallel timeline. So you'd agree it's the same thing, just like different events. So like,
It's a completely parallel autonomous world.
yeah, okay, wait, say that one more time.
Like it's a completely parallel world. Like
Okay,
it's
yeah, it's parallel. So we can't
not
be
on the
transcendent.
same, it's not on the same like axis of time anymore.
no.
It's branched out.
Wait, even if it branches out, that's fine. Whenever you make the affirmation that it's parallel, there can't be some distinguisher between the spatial axes because they're parallel.
That is a distinguisher. They're not
No,
the
no,
same
no. Wait, what does parallel mean?
opposite. Like I can't explain it, but like
It's just
opposite.
okay. I'll explain. Whenever you use like lines, for example, we say two lines are parallel. Let's just say one line is located at x1 and it infinitely goes every y direction. Then we have another line at x2 and it infinitely goes all y directions. Those lines will never be capable of intersecting. That's just all it means to be parallel. If they're parallel, they have to be similar in nature. So by you affirming that Future Trunks timeline is a parallel, yes, that's how parallel works. Just to be clear.
They don't have to be similar in nature.
No, it's a necessity.
They have to be similar in nature to be parallel.
Okay, what you
By
math for
similar, by
example?
similar in nature, like by similar in nature, do you mean like they can't be fundamentally different? Like they can't be two different like types of entities?
No,
Because
no,
you
no.
have different fundamental entities that are parallel to each other. And
I guess I'll clarify. I don't mean the entities within the space. I mean the space itself. So let's just say,
yeah, I'm just using the word entity as like an example. For example, if you have a ruler and let's say, you know, a horse's dick, like parallel to each other, obviously they're two fundamentally different things. But
I don't think two things fundamentally different can be true parallel.
why?
Because parallel is like just if we use it in the sense of where it was founded like when we talk about slopes and things like that, right?
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
wait.
defeat the fact that you can use it to describe things that are totally different.
That's fine. You can use it as a descriptor, but it just seems to be idiosyncratic.
What?
And by idiosyncratic, I just mean it seems to be weird or odd or not the word's intention. Like, I can use an apple to talk about a blanket. Let's just say, like, in my house, if every time I say apple, people know I'm talking about a blanket, that can be something to use, but that doesn't make it right.
No, that's a false equivalent example
What? How about this analogous?
because the word parallel, like, did we define the word parallel to begin with? I think we did.
Yeah, but it's just indexed to it.
What did
Yeah, it's
you
indexed to
define?
it. It's just, I just use it in the sense of how it's used to consolidate slopes. So just two lines where any have the same slope located at some different point on some axes.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, you have two things on like the same slope, but like different points of it, right?
No, wait. When I say slope, I just mean like I guess I'll say the steepness of the line. Like let's just say like a line goes
Like
up
how
one over one. Up, yeah, like a line just goes up one, right one, up one, right one. That's the slope of the line. The two lines that have that same slope, so we can just say the same m. M is just commonly used in math for slope. If they have the same m, right? However, they're at some different points. Like let's say one line starts at one, the other line starts at negative one. If they have the same slope at two different points, then they would be parallel.
Okay, so what if the horse's dick and the ruler had the same slopes at two different points? What if it met every what if it met every how do I put this? Every qualification for it being, you know, parallel. Would you then say it's parallel?
If it meets every qualification to be parallel, yes. Anything that meets the qualifications for a word, I would call it that word.
All
Like
right.
if I define an apple to be a small red fruit, then any small red fruit would be an apple under that definition. So yes, if it meets my definition, that's what I would define it to
All
be.
right. So that's an example. Like this just goes back to the beginning. That's an example of two things that are fundamentally different being parallel to each other. So it's not necessary that they have to be the same fundamentally to be parallel.
The argument wasn't the same fundamentally. I said it's the same spatially. That's why I
What?
asked you, what do you mean by wait, I even gave it a distinguisher when I asked you, what do you mean by entities? I said I'm not a reference to entities.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a reference to
I
the
was
spatial.
using entities. I was using entities as an example.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah, no, I understand that, but like, just to be clear, when I asked you about entities, did I not say, I don't think the entities have to be the same. I think they have to be the same spatially. That's why I had an issue with the word entities.
Like three dimensionally, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's to be the case, then like that's fine. The entities can be fundamentally different. However, for it to meet the criteria of parallel, they spatially have to be parallel to each other, so they have to be similar or the same in nature, just at a different point. So,
No, because the claim is that they can't be parallel if they're not like.
spatially, if they're spatially different, if they're spatially distinct, they cannot be parallel. However, if the entities or they have some fundamental events, like let's just say at one timeline Goku has an afro and another timeline he's bald, that's not going to be some spatial fundamental difference. However, if it's
Yeah,
in one timeline, yeah.
Yes,
So
I'm saying that I'm saying that they're directly referred to as like parallel worlds. Like I said this earlier that they're directly referred to as parallel worlds.
I agree.
So obviously that would imply that they're not on the same axes of time because Trunks doing like something that alters like the path. No, someone in Goku's timeline. My bad. Someone in Goku's timeline like doing something, you know, like to change the past and whatever the fuck doesn't affect like Trunks's timeline. 17
Yeah,
years.
when I say space, I don't mean time. I don't think space and time are the same thing. So like that's fine. Like they can have some different time. That's cool. Yeah, wait. I'm saying their time. I agree. Their time is different. That's fine. My issue is that they're not spatially distinct. So the time can have distinction, sure. My contention is that they're not spatially distinct, unless you think time and space are the same thing.
No, like I'm saying, okay, so sorry. Well, wait, I think we kind of went off topic. What was the initial stuff again? Like the initial.
It was just Goku's 5D, and I have no motivation to believe it's higher or lower.
No, not the 5D stuff. Like we got to the trunk stuff and the ontology stuff.
Oh. It was just like he doesn't have to do this alteration of ontology because they're ontologically the same, even though they're distinct. That's why I said like since they're parallel, they have to be spatially the same, even if time is the sequitur. Or the distinguisher, not sequitur. If time is a distinguisher, that's fine as long as they're spatially the same. So like Trunks wouldn't be transcendent because he's spatially the same. Because they're parallel. Those just if they're parallel, they're spatially the same.
I think I understand what you mean by that now.
Yeah. It's like I agree, they had different time, but like he wouldn't be transcendent because they're the same spatially.
All right. So,
And then
them being spatially different would be a justification for it being like a higher axis and whatnot.
yeah. Like the spatially distinction, it just seems to be the most likely conclusion. I mean, it's not a necessary conclusion. There can be some other reason.
It should be necessary that spatial distinction, like for example, 5D to 4D.
Well, no, what can be lower?
It doesn't make sense. I'm saying it can be lower, but I'm saying like if a 5D character is, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? I'm saying It is
If you're saying like
necessary.
it should be like it's the most likely thing, then yeah. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for example,
I'm saying, like
a,
it is necessary for a 5D beam to be spatially distinct to a 4D beam.
oh yeah. Spatial distinction is necessary if you're on a different spatial axis. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So what was I going to say again? Loki forgot. I was going
I'm
to say,
sorry.
how do we then justify the spatial distinction between like King Kai and like the afterlife and like the living world? Like, how do we then
Inaccessible by any means of normative travel.
what?
It's inaccessible by any means of normative travel.
I mean, that could just be indexed to like how the living universe is infinite and the spaceships are like incapable of traveling an infinite distance. I mean, that could be another explanation for why it's inaccessible.
I don't think they're infinite.
Hmm?
I think they're infinitely expanding, but I don't think they're still finite.
I think it's verbatim stated to be infinite in like the Daisen.
General relativity exists in the verse, so it can't be.
Yeah, so
I'm saying they have general relativity in Dragon Ball, so it can be like our universe, for example, is infinitely expanding. However, it's not infinite. So if general relativity applies in Dragon Ball, then it's infinitely expanding, not infinite. I mean, the other world is infinite, sure, that's fine, but
like
the regular universe, it's just infinitely expanding.
no, I think it states that it's infinitely expansive, as in expansive. The word expand, which obviously
I mean, I guess I'll just say it seems that statement is false because of general relativity. Like, I mean, I guess we'd have to come to some conclusion. Infinitely expansive. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I just don't take that statement to be true. If it's because only one of them can be true. Like either A, the verse has general relativity, therefore it's infinitely expanding, or B, the verse doesn't have general relativity, therefore it's like it can be fully infinite. But I just
it could be the case that, like, for example, for our universe, like, what is it expanding into?
sorry.
Yeah,
Just some finite increase. I don't know the exact integer, but by some finite degree.
if it's expanding, right, it has to be expanding into something, right?
I mean, sure.
Okay, so I'm saying that thing could be what's being referenced as being the infinite, endless space that the universe is expanding into. If you understand what I mean.
I mean, it can be like encroaching some infinite space, but I don't think the universe itself would be infinite. I mean, I agree. It can be approaching some
I
like
can agree. I can agree. I can agree to like the universe itself being like expanding infinitely, but I'm saying like the thing that encompasses it that it is expanding into would necessarily have to be infinite in order for it to logically make sense for like it be inaccessible from other world and blah blah blah. Because
I
like
mean, yeah.
obviously it's in context to like space travel and blah blah blah. So obviously we don't see the spaceship having infinite speed. Otherwise, the gods being able to travel like across universes would have less plot significance. Like Whis' staff would have less plot significance if Goku could just hop in a spaceship and bolt to like Zeno's palace. So I think it's more parsimonious that like it's in context to like the spaceships not being able to travel to the world because it's like an infinite distance. There's an infinite distance between them, like an actual infinite distance.
Do you think there's a distance greater than infinity?
I mean, in context of like higher spatial axioms, then probably you can have little sets
Okay,
of
so
infinity, obviously.
all right, just to be clear, if we have some finite travel that's greater than infinity, it would have to exist on some greater spatial axis.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Okay, great. Goku using instant transmission. If we take like what you're saying to be true, that there's this infinite thing outside of it. Obviously, we know Goku's instant transmission travels a finite distance. He uses instant transmission to and from King Kai's world, so we can just take it to be some high spatial axis.
But instant transmission, I think it's like explained in like the movies. Like he goes into like this. Like I think if you've seen some of like the movies, he goes to like this subspace where like he's like physically moving in that space. You know what I'm talking about?
I think that's only true in the movies.
I mean, I think it's part of the Dragon Ball verse, so like it would just be canon. Like it would be like the way the verse functions.
I think
Because
I mean if that's the case, then you I mean for that to be true, you'd have to think Goku's infinite speed.
No, I think it would be in like indexed to the technique, so it wouldn't necessarily make him infinite speed.
No,
But
no.
I don't disagree with him being infinite speed. I'm just saying. But
Well, I'm saying
saying
what a
I'll say
reason for
like
that to follow, like he would necessarily have to be infinite speed, is because we don't see like his instant transmission. Like once he locks onto someone, we don't see if it's faster or slower from different points. Like him using it, like let's just say in Cell, like when he uses the warp Kamehameha right to Cell, versus when he jumps all the way to King Kai's planet, we don't see a distinguisher in the amount of time. So the only way for him to go any distance within the same integer of time without having some variant speed would just be if the speed was infinite, or we can just say like how you agree there's this infinite thing outside the Dragon Ball universe. If he goes from there to King Kai's world, if they were on the same spatial axes, then he would have to cross an infinite space by physically moving. So for your argument to follow, he necessarily has to be infinite speed.
yeah. I don't disagree with Goku being infinite speed.
Okay, I
So
disagree.
no, like I'm just saying like it's not really something that matters. I wanted to say something about the movies. Like the movies were not like intended to be non-canon to begin with.
Uh-huh.
It's just like the anime when Koyama and like the staff were like writing the movies and whatever the anime was still airing. So they like had some contradictions with the anime, but the Daizenshu does state that there are some movies that don't narratively contradict the anime, and there is no doubt about their timeline placement. And then we see Toriyama stating that like you
Yeah.
can keep the movies as occurring in a different
I mean, I have.
what?
Oh, he's talking. Yeah, okay. He's going mute.
Did you mute him?
No, I didn't. He muted himself.
Oh, okay.
Man, this guy's. Oh, there's this paperboy guy that's saying if heroes cannot be outer because it's like a wait. Do you think Beat is like a fictional transcendence Beats world
I mean,
or
ask.
no? And well, there's someone that said that would just that would contradict it. It would be a contradiction because he was saying like, oh, that's literally impossible for a like a lower be like if a being like fictionally transcends
Okay, but I'm back.
fiction.
Hello.
Well, hold on.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I'm saying him being infinite speed. Did you say something about that? Like why it doesn't necessarily have to be the case?
Bro, I think I'm dying, bro.
So.
Bro, I was talking about the movies. I was saying
Oh,
that
I'm saying yeah, that's fine. I'm saying like I think the movies like we can. I don't have an issue with taking movies to be true. I just think we shouldn't take them to be true when there's a direct contradiction.
yeah.
Like
I'm not talking about like narrative contradiction. I'm talking about like
I mean
verse.
like a contradiction in the feats too.
I'm talking about like verse mechanics.
Yeah. I'm saying like if we take the verse mechanics to be true from the movie, like he goes to some different space and then he physically moves. If he's traveling an infinite distance, he would also have to be infinite speed. I don't think he can be infinite speed. That's so. I don't think that can be the explanation.
Why?
Because finite attacks are able to hit him.
Finite attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you mean attacks moving at a finite speed?
Yeah.
Well, why can't it be the case that those attacks are moving at an infinite speed?
I'll just use Dispo for example. We know Dispo's not moving at an infinite speed because he states that he's multiplying his speed. When he goes into that little like super purple form, he gets faster, right?
I mean, do you agree that like, do you agree that Goku is like 5D?
Sure.
So you agree that Goku has a power that is on a set of infinity, right?
Sure.
How then can Goku get stronger if he's already at infinite strength?
There can be some other echelon that he just becomes 60 when he gets stronger. Yeah. Huh?
What?
What do you mean? Wait, that's the only way. Like, if I mean, firstly, there's two things. Like, one, being 5D doesn't mean you're infinitely 5D. That's firstly, and then secondly, if
Okay, I'll agree to that, and I'll just say that Dispo could just be hitting 6-dimensional levels of speed, like transcending.
I think to be 60 in speed, you have to be 60 in ontology.
What?
I don't think you can be. I don't think only your speed can be 6D. If you're doing something 6D, you have to be 6D in totality of your nature. You can't
So
be kind of 3D.
so where does
Yeah.
Goku demonstrate? Where does Goku demonstrate that he becomes 6D in ontology when he gets stronger than when he was 5D?
No, I'm saying if it's the case where you were to transcend, like him getting stronger when he's 5D, that's fine. Because like you agree, being 5D doesn't mean you're infinitely 5D, right? Like we're 3D, but we're not infinitely 3D. I don't think Goku's infinitely 5D. I think he's regular 5D. So.
Yeah, that's not the argument. The argument is that him being 5D already puts him on a set of infinity.
Okay, wait. We're also on a set of infinity. We're infinitely above 1D and 2D things. Do you think we can't get stronger?
He's okay. So he's on a set of infinity that's above 4D, which obviously is infinite in size. Like if we're assuming like he's infinitely above 4D if he's 5D, right?
Sure, but wait. Can you answer the question?
No, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Like him not necessarily being infinitely 5D and us not necessarily being infinitely 3D. Like I agree with that. I'm not retarded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the argument is that Goku is on a level that is above a set of infinity, and yet he's still able to get stronger.
Yeah, I think so. The difference is like for the speed thing, like within ontology, we can quantify these sets. Like him being 5D obviously puts him above 4 sets of infinity. But if we just say infinite speed, right, you'd have to prove that you can have some speed separate from your ontology, and I don't think that's the case.
I mean, I think it could just be like plot-induced stupidity.
I don't think plot things. I don't think impossible things are possible. I mean, all contradictory things. Anything that logically contradicts itself can't exist.
Yeah, but like narratively, you can have logically contradictory things.
No.
Like, for example, if I write like on a piece of paper, if I write a short story on a piece of paper about a square circle, for example, obviously it makes no sense for a square circle to exist. It can't even be logically conceived or like conceptualized. But like
It's just a linguistic
within that narrative, it is a thing.
But that's just a linguistic contradiction, not a true contradiction.
What?
I said, do you agree there's a difference between linguistical and true contradictions?
It's nasty, baby.
It's not a linguistical contradiction. I'm not trying to say like I'm saying like it exists within that narrative specifically. That non like I'm just using the paper and pen as a medium to express it, but obviously the narrative is fictitious, so it doesn't actually exist within reality. So something that is contradictory not existing within reality doesn't posit any contradictions.
Something contradictory in reality doesn't posit any contradictions.
It doesn't posit any. My bad. It doesn't posit any like problems. Like there's no problem with that.
I think lack of contradict. Like I'm an anti-dialetheist, so I think lack of contradictions is necessary for existence.
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't exist. It's just fictional. Fictional things don't exist to be with.
Wait. Just to be clear, like when I say exist, like it can't be expressed, it can't be shown, it can't be like represented in its true nature, other than some lesser thing. So like.
Yeah, it can't be represented in its true nature. It can only be represented linguistically.
Yeah, so I think linguistic contradictions are fine, but it's not a true contradiction.
I'm not saying it is a linguistic contradiction. I'm saying it can be expressed linguistically.
Do you know? Like when I say I'm an anti-dialetheist, do you know what that means? Like not in a rude way.
Dialetheism?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm an anti-dialetheist.
Which means
so dialetheism is just a belief that contradictions can't exist. I don't think they can exist, like at all. I don't think there's any instance where you can have a true contradiction.
You don't think they can exist like
at all?
Yeah, that's what I agree with you. I'm saying it's fictional.
No, not even in the sense of fiction. Like in fiction, reality, some alternate universe, some different timeline. No matter what medium, a true contradiction cannot exist. Like at all. Not just means like it has to be non-fiction. It can't exist.
Why?
I think existence is subservient to the laws of logic. I think all things that are reasonable exist. When I say reasonable, I just mean like comprehensible. Like we can apply reason to them. And if it's and like obviously like in the law of logic, we just have the law of non-contradiction. So by my discernibility, that just be something that can't exist.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like within this fictional narrative specifically, it is a thing.
Well, no, I'm saying like at all, like fiction, nonfiction, a different universe, a fiction book in a different
If
universe.
if we can talk about it, just because we can't conceptualize it doesn't mean like if we can talk about it, obviously it has some sort of mental ontology.
I agree. It has mental ontology because it's purely linguistic. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like I
so
agree, it exists linguistically, but it doesn't exist in true application. So that's fine. Like I said earlier, linguistic contradictions can exist, not true ones. So yeah, this would just be a linguistic contradiction.
I think we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, so I mean, if like I don't think a linguistic contradiction means a contradiction. So I don't think contradictions can exist.
No, but do you wait. You don't think a linguistic contradiction means a contradiction? Like,
It doesn't mean a true contradiction.
yeah. Okay, so why this is relevant is that obviously Dragon Ball is obviously fiction, and it will obviously fall under like the linguistics and whatever, like the written stories and stuff like that. So if there is something that is like something that is written in the manga that posits a contradiction, or said in the anime that posits a contradiction, wouldn't that now fall under linguistic contradictions?
Sure. I guess I'll get the distinguisher. I mean, one, yeah, sure, it's a linguistic contradiction, but I think there's a symmetry breaker between that and a true contradiction. Do you think a logical thing?
I agree with you. I agree with
Oh,
you.
so yeah, I'm saying like it being a linguistic contradiction doesn't really mean anything. Like, sure, that happens. That's just inconsistent writing. I mean, that's every piece of media.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before.
But I'm saying that's not an actual contradiction.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's a linguistic contradiction, but it's still a thing that's like within,
Okay, but you agree they can't both be right, right? Like you agree a statement can't be true and false.
Yeah, obviously. That's why I
Yeah,
said.
so like if there's a contradiction, like just to say one of the contradictions is P is P, and there's another contradiction that P is not P, one of those is true, and that by one of them being true, the other one's false. So like contradictions can exist, but only one of the contradictory statements are actually true.
Yeah, what's in question is whether or not the contradiction exists, not whether or not this is this and this is that. For example, like what I brought up about a square circle. A square circle is a description of one and a singular entity that both has angles and lacks angles, right? So obviously this cannot exist, conventionally, but linguistically it exists,
I mean,
right?
yeah, I've agreed like the whole time. I think linguistic contradictions are fine, but the only way for a true contradiction to be true is if a statement is true or false. Like a contradiction is just a P.
Linguistic contradictions should have those same properties because, according to you, it should, logically speaking, because even if it's just linguistic, right, it has to be either true or false.
It's not truly indicative of a proposition.
I mean, I think it is because like it can't be one thing and another thing at the same time when those two things fundamentally cannot coexist. Like
I guess I'll say this: if we let's say within some like to tie it back to Dragon Ball within a manga, let's say in Namek Saga, Goku blows up a planet, and then within some movie we see like Goku blows up. Like he's incapable. He's trying his hardest. Everyone's life on the line, but he's incapable of blowing up a planet. And they're supposed to take place at the same point in time. I just don't think it can be true and false that he can destroy a planet and cannot destroy a planet. I just think one's linguistically that can contradict itself, but the actual nature of a contradiction, only one of those statements seems to hold meaning.
Oh, I think what you're I think I understand the point you're trying to make. Like you're talking about like the narrative contradictions between the movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so like specifically with the instant transmission thing, like Goku would have to be infinite speed, and obviously you can't finitely multiply infinity. So if someone's able to use a finite multiplier to increase their speed to be faster than Goku, it seems to be the case that Goku is not infinite speed. So that instant transmission thing can't be the case.
No, I can just simply say like it's not indicative of Goku's speed necessarily, and could just be like the technique based thing.
But did you not say within the technique he goes into a different realm and then he physically moves to the location?
Yeah, it could just be the case that like the technique allows him to do so, but conventionally he can't do so, which would like posit less. It would posit less like confusion and argument. I feel like
I guess if that's the case, I don't think Whis would have been able to dodge it.
we should able to dodge it.
Yep.
I mean,
I don't think you can be faster than infinite speed.
Can you explain?
And obviously the movie, in the Broly movie, when they get their perfect fusion, turn into Gogeta, they teleport to Whis, and then before they appear, Whis moves out the way and evades the instant transmission. That was going to be directly on top of him.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I think-
This is another type of like you can believe that you don't faster than infinite speed, but like linguistically within the narrative, it could be the case that somebody is faster than infinite speed.
I don't think impossible things can exist within a narrative. Like I think they can be said, like linguistically. I'm saying like linguistically they can be said, but they can't. But they can't be true.
Linguistically, it's the case that we obviously the movie, the animation is just for entertainment, but obviously there was a script, right? So this script contained, hey, make Whis dodge instant transmission, right? So obviously linguistically it exists. It's
I think whenever it becomes action,
the animation is just a representation of the movie script. At the end of the day, the story began conceptually, like in the mind and whatnot. So we have the case where linguistically Whis can dodge instant transmission, and what we're seeing is just like an expression of that, like in a 2-dimensional format.
Wait, so just to be clear, well, I guess I'll say this.
Yo, what we talking about, guys? Oh, hey, Echo.
Dragon Ball, yeah. But it's the only issue with that. Yeah, the only issue with that is just like if we take it like one, I don't think it'd be linguistic because it's something shown. It's an act. It's an action. I think that's a causal thing. But wait, yeah, I think that's just a causal thing.
Could you repeat?
Don't Goku clear this.
Hell no. What? What'd you say?
Could you repeat that, please?
I don't think it's linguistically because it's a causal action.
It's a causal action?
Mm-hmm. Whis moving out the way. Because he knew the instant transmission was coming, he moved out of the way. So it's some causal action. It's not a linguistic thing. It's an act.
How do we know he knew the instant transmission
was out the way?
What?
Because he moved out the way. And he was looking there when he moved out the way. He moved out the way. Like he moves to the right, and then he's looking left as he moves to the right, waiting on them to appear. And then he says, oh, and then he gets out the fight. So, I mean, he knew because he evaded it, and then he looked where they were going to appear.
I mean, wouldn't that be kind of like, can I not argue that Whis instincts made him move out of the way since he's naturally in the state of Ultra Instinct, so he doesn't necessarily have to know before he moves out of the way? So it would just be the case that
no, I think Master Ultra Instinct is conscious.
Yeah, I'm saying it can be conscious, but like
no, I think it is.
Yeah, the body is conscious on its own. Like
no, like I'm saying like the shit Goku doesn't turn him into power. That's because he doesn't fully master MUI. So that's why I was like, oh, I'm not thinking at all when I move. However, like the actual difference, like why his MUI gets better, like in a manga, like let's just use the fight with Gohan, it's because he's able to combine his body's natural movement with his own thought process. That's why, like at first, like he's not able to talk in Ultra Instinct, and then when he masters it, he's actually able to speak. So we know it's not purely subconscious because he consciously does things.
Just because he consciously does things doesn't negate the claim that the body moves on its own. Like the body.
Do you think conscious and unconscious movement can happen simultaneously?
If there are two different fundamental movements, like Goku talking while dodging Jiren's attacks, I think it can happen at the same time. It's two different fundamental movements. Like we see Whis before he says anything. So I mean, I don't think there's a contradiction there.
I'm not saying it's just his speaking that's conscious. I'm saying their movement. Like in a fight, Goku and Gohan. I mean, Goku consciously moves. When he's in UI, he explains like this form's different from how I had it back when in the Tournament of Power. I can now fully control it. That's why I'm still able to speak. I'm able to combine like the ease reactions of Ultra Instinct with my own conscious decisions. He then like screams, powers up, and charges at Gohan. Clearly, that's a conscious decision, and they're never like
I'm talking specifically about dodging. Like,
wait, even with dodging, when Gohan's throwing a flurry of punches, he's saying I have to keep my hands high so I don't get grazed. And then Gohan goes low and like sweep kicks his chin, and he gets like a little scratch. That's the first time he gets hit. So I mean, he's consciously deciding how to evade these attacks as well.
no, it's not like he's consciously like I'm saying he can consciously decide to evade an attack, but that doesn't mean that like the Ultra Instinct itself can't like
I guess I'll say this.
remove him
I think-
from.
I think I was arguing the wrong thing. Even if it is subconscious, we both agree Ultra Instinct's dependent on the character's speed, right?
I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so him dodging it, whether it's subconscious or unconscious, is still dependent on his speed. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so if that's the case, then like we shouldn't be able to dodge infinite because you can't be faster than that.
Yeah, but that's what's in question though. Like, that's like literally what we're trying to describe. Like, him being able to dodge it would be an example of him dodging something that necessarily has to be like infinite speed because
Well, it
it's
would only be infinite speed if we take the movie's representation to be true. I'm saying we can't take the movie's representation to be true because it's not infinite.
like I'm saying like obviously you imply that you believe instant transmission was some sort of infinite speed because it was crossing from like the living world to the other world, which obviously you posited as inaccessible. So that's what I'm using as like the basis.
Well, I think the difference is you think Goku physically moves. I don't.
No, I'm saying regardless of that. I'm saying regardless of that fact.
Well, no. So me saying it crosses an infinite distance doesn't mean it has an infinite speed because it'd only have an infinite speed if it took some time. I think instant transmission is instant.
Mm.
So like if it doesn't have time, then obviously it doesn't have speed.
Yeah, so wouldn't that then imply that Whis is able to avoid something that doesn't function within time, like functions like independent of time, which would make like its speed
Sorry.
comparatively to someone in like a lower dimensional like
I mean,
axis would
that just be. I can just say it's immeasurable. I don't think immeasurable and infinite are the same thing. No.
No. I'm saying like comparatively to someone say in like a lower dimensional like plane, like a 4D plane, wouldn't Whis' speed like visually be like infinite compared to like them since it's able to like work independent of their spatial temporal axes, which obviously they can't like.
I think it's immeasurable, not infinite.
You believe infinite speed is higher than immeasurable?
No, I think infinite speed isn't representative of two different things. Like infinite speed, there's still some time. That time is just like zero, but immeasurable speed, there isn't time.
I mean, I think some authors kind of don't understand infinite speed because they make characters travel infinite distances in finite time, which obviously doesn't make sense because it's like they don't understand how physics works and everything. Naturally, you should be able to cross an infinite distance in zero time, right? Just like we discussed earlier. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these characters can have like some sort of infinite speed that's like obviously contradictory to physics, but still, we still kind of have to accept for the purpose of power scaling and like quantification.
If we take that to be true, and let's just say, for example, Goku is infinite speed, then you'd agree that any character like Goku and any character who's as fast as Goku or relative to Goku in speed should, if the Kai's world isn't on some separate axes, they should just be able to walk there. No? Because like earlier how you were saying like it can just be the Dragon Ball universe is finite, but it's expanding into some infinite thing wherein the other world is, since it's not on a higher spatial axis. That's what you said earlier. If that's the case, and these characters are infinite speed, then there's no reason they can't cross that infinite distance.
Wait, I was saying like it could like my argument was like the spaceships can't cross an infinite distance, right?
Yeah, but the people can. If we take it to if we take what you said to be true, the people can cross that infinite distance, so they should be able to get there without instant transmission. Like Vegeta should, Goku should.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of like a plot-induced stupidity thing, because like we see Goku's energy being able to like go from the living world to the afterlife in Battle of God. So obviously his ki has that kind of range, right? And
Not really.
that's the same key he like uses to fight and move and stuff like that. So I feel like if they made Goku just capable of like casually flying from like Earth to King Kai's planet, like certain plot devices would have no meaning and it would lose like its entertainment. So I feel like a lot of things within like fiction are like done for entertainment, and like plot induced stupidity is just an inherent thing. Like,
No, Goku doesn't scale to the Clash.
what?
Goku does not scale to the Clash, where Beerus doesn't scale to it.
How do we then justify that Goku is 5D? Like,
Whenever he's in Super Saiyan 3 and he's fighting Beerus and he starts screaming and shakes the other world.
yeah, like, if he's able to shake the other world, and then later on he's fighting Beerus, and then the key is reaching.
I'm not saying he's not 5D. I'm just saying he doesn't scale to that Clash.
I mean, him scaling to the Clash or whatever is inconsequential. I'm just using that example. I'm saying if his key is able to hit that range, right, then logically he should be able to hit those same words of speed if he's using.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, once again, I mean, even him being infinite speed is contrary to your position, not mine, man. I mean,
What?
like if we take it to him being infinite speed, then it can't be he can't cross the infinite distance to the Kais, bro. So if it's infinite speed,
I'm arguing for plot induced stupidity.
plot induced stupidity. I don't think. I mean, I can just say it seems to be. I don't think like obviously things that are plot stupidity. I don't think they're consistent, but it seems to be consistent that you have to teleport to get to the Kaiohsian world, or you have to be on a loft.
Yeah, I'm saying plot induced stupidity can be consistent because the authors don't understand these things. Like they can just keep using it as a continuous element of the story to the point where they can't change it. Like for example, imagine if they suddenly changed how instant transmission worked and blah 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 because they figured out that this isn't logically sound. It would just kind of be weird, like them just like retconning a bunch of the story. So they just have to continue with this non-logical format of how this thing works and just continue like that and just let it be fucking entertaining and not give a fuck. Don't you agree with that?
I can just say it's possible, but it seems like that's not what's happening.
I mean, it's not really like I'm not really saying like it's necessary for it to be plot induced stupidity. I'm just saying like it can, since like it doesn't make any sense for this to be the case. So like it could be the case that it's plot induced stupidity. Like for example, we have.
I think it's less likely the case. I think it's possible, but I think it's less likely.
All right. So for example, but it's still a possibility. Like for example, like we have Cell. Cell does not have any permission to exist on Otherworld. He doesn't have any special permission like Goku. Like how Goku was given special permission by the Kais and whatnot. Cell does not have that permission, but yet he teleports to King Kai's planet somehow with Goku and blows up King Kai's planet with his explosion. Like
He has
that.
Goku's DNA.
He has Goku's DNA. No, I feel like the permission thing. I feel like.
Yo, Jeb, we can't hear you.
Oh, you're quiet. By saying he doesn't scale. By the way, Vince. When I say he doesn't scale to the Clash, it's because after like they initial punch each other, the magnetism gets stronger as it goes out. Like Whis literally says, it's now increases strength to a point to where I can no longer stop it. So we know it's getting stronger as the point of origin.
Do you know there's a statement that later on that they separately can destroy the macrocosm? You know, there's another statement
That's
like
fine.
that, right?
That's cool.
That's not false. There's an actual
that's
statement.
fine. That's fine. FINE, fine.
Anyways, the reason I'm arguing about the on the wavelengths are shockwaves in general work.
Sorry, what?
I'm saying the reason why that doesn't
Oh,
work
Drip,
is if
we can hear you now.
wavelength or shockwaves and so on.
You agree that shockwaves
Oh,
don't
Drip's
magnify,
doing
right?
something.
Though
Okay, you can continue.
they infinitesimally decrease in force
Wait, what?
as they expand. That's
Why
what
can't I
shockwaves
hear you guys?
No, shockwaves are capable of building momentum as they travel, but the momentum that they're building still depends on the initial point of contact. So, like for example, if you dip your finger in the water, the waves from the waare would build in momentum before finally losing the energy that you're applying. So, in
Just
the
to be
case of
clear, let's just say let's put some integers to it. Let's just say we have some clash that's 10 newtons of force, and then we have some shockwaves that radiate out, and those shockwaves increase by, let's just say the acceleration increases by 1 every second. If that's the hold, 1 second, if that's the case, the final shockwave will be stronger than the initial clash because obviously we know speed increases the force. If that's the case, then you can't scale to something stronger than the force you inputted. I mean, what?
no, using that same example, I'm saying if you're causing
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now.
Well,
let's say the
we can hear
initial
you now.
force. Hold on, let's say the initial force is the value of 10. Shockwave builds a momentum
Wait, what is
to
it,
the
Drip?
value of 20.
Yeah, I want to tell Echo something. I have to go eat and then take my medicine and go to sleep right now. So tell Super Goku Sodos to like add you on Discord, so you can add me on Discord. We can continue our discussion later.
Okay. I mean, I don't have Discord. I'll just see you on another live, I guess. On that.
All right, that's no problem. That's no problem.
But what?